Please rise.
Great. Everyone please be seated. Look back here. Michelle, your next.
Thank you, Your Honor. The statement called Gregory Flosa.
Sir, come forward and please stand directly in front of the clerk here to my left.
Gregory Flosa.
Please have a seat.
Good morning. Could you just repeat your name for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please?
My name is Gregory Flosa.
And where do you live, Mr. Flosa? Which town?
I live in Westmont.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I am the Director of Finance and Accounting for a Philadelphia-based engineering consulting firm. I'm also the Managing Partner of SCL Property Services.
Okay.
A partnership I formed with my wife to manage two of my father's properties located in Westmont.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to Tuesday, October the 13th of 2015. Were you scheduled to work that day? At your, the accounting and finance job? Okay. And you do have a trip planned for that day?
I did. I had a business trip and I was headed to Baltimore.
All right. And how are you going to get to Baltimore?
I was going to job.
Sir, in addition to your employment and the property management company, are you also a volunteer fireman?
Yes, I
And in which town are you a volunteer fireman?
am. In Westmont.
How long have you been a volunteer with the Westmont Fire Department?
A little over 13 years.
As you were preparing for your trip to Baltimore that morning, did you receive any notifications?
Yes. We were dispatched.
Do you know where the dispatch was to?
We were dispatched to report to our station for an emergency assignment.
And can you just give us a ballpark idea of what time that dispatch came in?
It was roughly maybe 10 minutes after 6.
And how do you receive that dispatch?
I have a pager.
All right, now were you planning on responding to that call?
I was not planning on responding to that
And why not?
call. Because I had to get on the road.
And were there any details with that call?
There were no details.
Did you later receive a specific request to report to the location in question?
Yes. Approximately, it was less than a minute after dispatch, I received a call from Chief John Meads of the Westmont Fire Company.
And what did the chief want you to do?
He asked me to respond to the scene with the keys to the building.
All right, and where was the scene located?
At the corner of Virginia and Cooper Street.
What's the address there?
101, 103 Cooper Street.
And is that one of the properties that you manage?
Yes, sir.
Did the chief want you to bring anything in particular to the location?
Just the keys.
And did you do that?
I did.
How long did it take you to get there?
A few minutes.
What did you find when you arrived on location? Who was present?
To the best of my recollection, Chief Meads and Officer Kirkner.
So what did you do when you got there?
I handed the keys to Officer.
And what happened once law enforcement had the keys to the building?
Kurt asked me if I could search the basement of the building. There are two basements, one at 101 and one at 103.
Okay, can you, so is that actually two separate buildings?
It's actually one deed, but as far as the post office is concerned, it's two addresses.
Well, the area that you searched was where, in the basement?
Yes.
And is it two separate basements?
Two separate basements.
How do you access the basement of either or both sides?
Via Bilco doors.
Okay, can you explain for the drink, if anyone doesn't know, what are Bilco doors?
They're big metal doors that are flush with the sidewalk, and they swing open.
Okay, and when you open them, what's in front of you?
Steps leading down to the basement.
And what's contained normally in the basement of 101 and 103 Cooper Street?
The electric panel, the furnaces, and the hot water heater.
Is there any kind of storage or anything for residents down there?
No.
Now, if I understood you correctly, you said the property management company, that manages properties that are owned by who?
My father.
And how long has your father owned 101, 103 building?
I believe he purchased them sometime in October of 2014.
And were you familiar with the buildings?
Prior to that?
Yes.
Not particularly.
Or at the time that he purchased them?
Yeah.
What was the conditions of the buildings at the time he made the purchase?
In disrepair.
How many apartments are in, I'm going to refer to it as one building even though it has two addresses because it looks like one building. How many apartments are in the building altogether?
7.
And of the 7 apartments, when your father bought the building, how many of the 7 were occupied?
4 of the 7 were occupied.
And did that number go down again?
It did. Within, before the end of the year, we had two of those 4 move out.
So only 2 of the apartments ended up being occupied?
That's correct.
Now, the jury has already seen pictures of the apartment building itself, but can you just give me a brief description of it? How many stories is it?
It's 2 stories, tan brick building.
Okay. And you've indicated that there were 7 apartments. How many are on the 101 side?
3 apartments.
And how many are on the 103 side?
4.
And where's 103D located?
103D is located on the 2nd floor in the rear of the building.
And the door to enter into 103D, that first door, the exterior door, where's that located?
Behind the building. If you were on Cooper Street, it would be to the right. In the driveway.
Now, when your father bought this building back in October of 2014, was there any work? Did he begin doing any renovations to the building?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain those?
In December of that year, we started some major renovations. The first thing we did was repair the roof. It was actually leaking in all 4 corners of the building. So
Okay.
before we did anything inside, we repaired the roof.
What else did you replace?
We had to replace all the knob and tube wiring in the 5 unoccupied apartments. So basically ripped out all the wiring, rewired everything. There were new fixtures, new...
What do you mean by fixtures?
Ceiling fans, outlets.
Did you do anything with regard to the windows in the apartments?
There were new windows throughout.
Throughout, and every apartment got all new windows? And what about the heating system?
The heating system was a shared system, so we did a lot of work to segregate the piping in the basement, so each individual apartment could have its own furnace. So we basically put 7 new furnaces in the apartment.
Okay. And they were located in the basement?
Yes.
Okay, what about exterior doors?
All of the exterior doors were replaced as well.
recall how many, for the 7 apartments, how many exterior doors are there?
6.
Can you describe it? Did you put the same exterior door in for each doorway?
Yes.
And can you describe the exterior doors that were installed?
They were,
Was it, what material was it made out of?
I think they're solid wood.
What kind of locks did they have?
Each door has a deadbolt and a locking door.
Are you familiar with the term spring hinge?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means when the door's open and you let go of it, it closes on.
So did the exterior doors that were installed, were they on a spring hinge?
Yes,
So they would close by themselves, correct?
that is correct.
And can you describe, if you know, describe for us the weight of the exterior doors?
Well, they're solid, so they're pretty, they have some heft to them.
So it sounds like there was only 2 apartments that had to share an exterior door, is that correct?
That's correct.
And which 2 apartments were they?
103B and 103D.
I'm going to ask you some questions now about the interior doors in the apartments, okay? Were they also fitted with locks?
They were.
And where were the locks located?
Once again, deadbolts and new doors. And they were located in apartments 103B and D.
So when all the renovations were done inside the apartment building, were the doors on 103B and 103D, were they replaced as well, or just new knobs and locks?
They were not replaced.
Okay. What about the locks?
Yeah, they were replaced. New locks.
After the renovations were completed, who was the first tenant of 103D?
TJ Creato.
For the record, Judge, she's identified the defendant. And what was the condition of the apartment before the defendant moved in?
Well, it had just been recently renovated, so it was in excellent condition.
And before the defendant moved into the apartment, did you do or request that something be done to document the condition of the apartment before you moved in?
Yes.
And what did you do?
We took a video of the apartment to document the existing condition. So at the end of the lease, we can compare the current condition of the apartment to when it first moved in. So if there's any sort of debate on damages or something.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I would like to play, and for the record, I would indicate, I have an item here that's marked as State's Exhibit 70. It is a DVD that contains 2 separate videos, so I'm going to refer to them as State's Exhibit 70A and State's Exhibit 70B. I would like to play 70A for the jury at this time, if that's okay? Is there an objection?
No objection.
So I guess I'm moving the whole Exhibit 70 into evidence because we can't separate those. Yes. We'll get that queued up, Judge. Mr. Flosa, while we're working on that, let me ask you a few more questions. Who actually shot this video?
John.
And can you tell me when it was made? When it was filmed? What the date was?
I don't recall the exact date.
Was it near the time, shortly before the defendant moved into the apartment?
Yes.
And does the video fairly document the condition of the apartment before you moved in?
Yes.
Yeah, who's lights for a second? My apologies, Your Honor. I should have had that queued up. Oh, there we go.
March 31st, around March 31st, around 3 o'clock. Apartment 103D.
Can we collect again, please? I'm sorry, this is still sideways. I'm not sure why.
Smoke detector. Apartment 907.
Straight up on my computer, Judge, I don't know why. But my sound doesn't work. So we're gonna try one more thing. Just hold on a moment, please.
March 31st, around 3 o'clock.
Oh, really? It's smaller, but it's the right way up. And I will back it up. Yeah.
March 31st, around 3 o'clock.
Three lights now.
Apartment 103D. Smoke detector. Apartment 907. New shades. matter?
When we were watching the video of the apartment before the defendant moved in, it looked like there was some sort of a camera system on the kitchen counter. Could you explain for us what that was?
It's a doorbell system.
Okay.
Where if somebody's downstairs and rings the doorbell, it activates the camera. So
Okay.
you can see who's there.
Okay. Does it record in any fashion?
It doesn't.
Now, before the defendant moved into the apartment, did he sign a lease?
Yes, he did.
And do you recall when the lease was signed?
He's got 8.
Judge, I'm going to ask to, may I approach the witness with State's Exhibit 69? Mr. Flosa, I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit number 69, although I have it separated into 2 documents. Let me ask you to take a look through that and tell me if you recognize what this is.
Yes, this is a copy of the lease that tenant executed.
Okay.
And this is the inspection checklist
Okay.
that require all tenants to, they go through the apartment, comment on anything that needs to be repaired or something that's concerning to them.
Okay,
And
so
they sign off on it.
I'm going to ask if you would please just look through those documents very quickly, these over here on the left, and tell me if that appears to be the lease that you executed with the defendant in this case for 103 D Cooper Street. Okay. And the couple of separate pages that have number 69 on, they were part of that lease?
Yes, it's an attachment.
Okay. Judge, I'm going to move in 69, but it's only the part about the lease inspection. I don't want to move I don't see the need to move the whole lease, and it's got, I have indicated that to Mr. Fushino.
Objection.
Okay.
Then those portions of S69 will be within evidence.
And just for the record, Judge, there are the personal identifiers and things of that nature. So I'm just going to focus on the lease inspection. And I'm sorry, Mr. Flosa, at the time when you had the lease in your hand, did you happen to notice the date that it was signed?
Yes. Mid-March.
It's actually March 29th, correct? Do you want to see it again?
Stipulated.
Okay.
I apologize.
Oh, no problems. So as you indicated, as an attachment, the lease includes an inspection checklist, correct?
Yes.
So much like you make a video to protect your rights, prospective tenant is permitted to inspect it as well. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and as the property manager, do you maintain the lease and its attachments in the normal course of business?
Yes, sir.
Although I've already moved it into evidence. With regard to this inspection document, let me hand it back to you. Can you tell us what areas that covers, what area the tenant is asked to inspect before they move in?
Well, it covers the entire apartment, so the kitchen, living room, bathroom, bedroom, hallways, or any other area.
Okay, and with regard to kitchen, does it specifically list doors?
It does.
And with regard to living room, does it specifically list doors?
Yes.
And they were both signed off as being in satisfactory condition by the lessee, in this case the defendant?
Yes.
At the time when the defendant, or do you remember which date it was that he moved in?
I believe his lease started April 1st, so he moved in the day after the video was.
Was there anyone living across the hall from him when he moved into the apartment on April 1st?
Yes, there was.
And what was that individual's name?
Christopher Bradley,
And which apartment did Mr. Bradley live in?
103D.
B as in boy. Okay. So 103B, Mr. Bradley's apartment, and 103D, the defendant's apartment, did they share that common exterior door?
Yes.
So, with regard to the doors at the top of, let me back up just a little bit. Can you explain to us how you issued the keys for those two apartments? Because they share a common door, but then they have separate doors at the top of the steps, correct?
Yes.
Okay, would you explain to us how you work that?
Sure. The tenant receives a key for the common door, a key for their apartment door, and an additional key for the main.
Okay, so would that mean that Mr. Bradley and the defendant had the same key to the bottom door,
Yes.
but they would not share a key to their top doors, correct? I want to return to 103D, the door that was there. You've indicated that the door was not replaced during the renovations, but tell me what work was done to it.
Well, it was painted.
It was painted? And what about the knob and the deadbolt?
They were replaced.
And did you have them keyed in such a way that the same lock would open the knob and the deadbolt, so you needed one key for that door?
Yes.
What kind of hinge was on the second level doors, the interior doors to the apartment?
They have a similar spring hinge as well.
Okay, so what happens if you leave the door open?
They were closed.
During all the time that the defendant was living in this apartment, from April 1st on through October of 2015, were you ever advised that there was a problem with the locks on the door?
Yes.
Okay. When were you advised that there was a problem with the locks on the door?
Approximately a week or two after the incident.
Okay, when you say the incident, you're referring to when Brendan died?
Yes.
Okay. Who advised you that a week or two after Brendan died, that there was a problem with the locks?
David Creato, Sr.
Is he the defendant's father?
Yes.
And how did he advise you of the problem?
We spoke on the phone.
I got just a minute, Your Honor. Do you recall the specific date that you spoke with Mr. Creato?
I initially spoke with him on, I believe it was the 20th
Okay, of which month?
October.
At some point after being advised or having Mr. Creato, let me back up, prior to October 20th, if that was in fact the date, had you ever been notified of the problem with any of the doors on 103D?
No.
Did you have an opportunity after receiving that notification from the defendant's father to go out there and look at the door for yourself?
I did.
Okay, and under what circumstances were you out of the building?
I was, I had recently had Christopher Bradley evicted from the apartment.
Okay.
I was looking for a new tenant, so I was showing the apartment, 103B that day. It was actually the 24th.
Okay. What day of the week was
That
that?
was a Saturday.
So while you were after the show, did you have an opportunity to look at the locks on the door to 103D?
I did.
I'm sorry, D. And could you see if there was a problem to the interior door to 103D, the door to the defendant's apartment?
Well, when I knocked on the door to see if DJ was home,
Okay.
the door actually swung open.
Okay, just by you knocking on it?
Yes.
And,
I mean, not all the way open. It obviously wasn't latched.
and did you make a recording of that?
I did.
Judge, this is State's Exhibit 70, still part B, for the record. And how did you make it, what did you record this with? Your cell phone?
Yes.
Judge, I already asked me to back it up and play it again. It's only about 10 seconds.
Are you going to enlarge it through?
I don't think we can.
You have to let it.
So was that your hand in the video, sir? And what were you doing when you recorded that? What were you trying to demonstrate?
I was trying to demonstrate that the doorknob did not latch properly.
Could you lights, please? And just to clarify, had anyone notified you of that prior to speaking with the defendant's father on or about October 20th after this family?
No.
While you were out at the apartment this day, did you have an opportunity to take a look at the exterior door as well, the first level door, the first floor?
Yes. I did.
Okay, and did you notice any problems with that door?
I noticed that some of the flashing around the perimeter of the door, well, specifically near the doorknob, had been, I guess, pried with, something was going on because there was some scratches and some denting and flash.
Okay, and that hadn't been there previously?
No, that was a brand new door and new flashing. So it was all, I mean, pretty new. It was new back in March, so it was only
October?
Yeah.
And did you have any issue latching that door when you pulled it shut?
No.
So the exterior door latched.
That's correct.
When you were there that day, on the 24th, when you were going to show the apartment 103B across the hall to a prospective tenant, did you see the defendant there that day?
I did.
And where were you when you saw him?
I was walking towards...
Had you finished showing the apartment across the hall?
I did. I was walking back to my truck.
Okay. Where was the defendant when you saw him?
He was on Cooper Street entering the driveway.
Okay, that leads to that exterior door? Okay, tell me, was he there with anyone?
He was.
Who was he with?
I don't know who she was.
No, it was a female though?
At the time I gave my statement, I assumed it was his girlfriend. I really don't know who it was.
Okay, you'd never met his girlfriend before, right? Okay, what was the defendant doing when you saw him?
Well, as I continued onto my truck, I sort of noticed out of the corner of my eye, he was trying to try the door with a credit card or something.
Okay, so this is the exterior door?
Correct.
And it looked like he was using what?
I believe he was using a credit card.
Did you have any conversations with the defendant at this time?
Well, I had locked the deadbolt.
Okay.
There was no way he was going to pry it open with the credit card. So he saw me standing there and he asked me if I could let him to the apartment. So he forgot his key.
Did you let him in?
I did.
Now, at some point, after you became aware of the condition of the door, after you made your video, did you report that information to the Haddon Township Police Department?
I did.
Remember who you talked to?
Initially, Officer Judge.
Okay. And did you do a follow-up interview with anyone?
I did, Detective.
Do you recall the date that you gave a statement to the Hampton Township Police Department?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact date.
If I showed you a copy of your statement, would that refresh your recollection? Did you give a statement on November the 6th of 2015? Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right, and who did you speak with when you gave your formal statement?
Don Quinn.
Don Quinn. Did you allow Detective Quinn, or did you sign a consent that would allow him to photograph and measure apartment number 103D at that time?
Yes, I did.
And were you present with Detective Quinn when he photographed that apartment?
Yes, I was.
Had the defendant moved out by then?
Yes.
Mr. Flosa, I'm going to ask you to take a look at State's Exhibits number 71 through and including 93. And you can just flip through them and tell me if you recognize them, okay?
This is apartment 101A.
I just got them to flip through them, and I'm going to put them up so everybody can see them. And as you're looking through them, are they pictures of the property that you manage at 101 and 103 Cooper Street? And do they appear to you to be the photographs that were taken on November the 6th of 2015?
Yeah.
And I'm specifically going to reference State's Exhibit number 89 because it's the interior department. Is that how the interior looked when you were there that day with Detective Quinn? Yeah. Okay. And looking at all of those exhibits again for the record, 71 through and including 93, did they fairly and accurately show what you saw with your own eyes out of the building that day on November 6th?
Yes, they did.
Judge, if I may, like, movement of evidence?
No objection. No objection of even that.
Could lights, please? And Mr. Flosa, I think you may have mentioned this already, but the jurors have already seen some of these pictures, so we're just going to go through them quickly. Can you tell us what we're looking at here in State's Exhibit number 71?
That's apartment 101A, so that picture was taken from the intersection of Cooper and G.
Okay, and what's the next door overlooking towards the right?
That's apartment 103A.
Okay. And looking at State's Exhibit number 72, that's, well, I guess we got the mailbox on that one. That's 103A, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is this the same building from another angle here? We're on State's Exhibit 73?
Yes.
All right. Now, was that ever, that area, see where the yellow pole is on this photograph?
Yes.
Was that ever used as a driveway?
Yes.
Can you go to the next one? State's Exhibit 74. And this used to be the driveway for the building, correct?
Yeah, you can go past that pole.
Okay. And can we see State's Exhibit number 74? Sorry, I got one behind. 75. I'm going to ask you to take a look at State's Exhibit number 75. This is the entryway to 103B and 103D, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and is that a picture of the new doors that were installed at the time the renovations were done on the apartment?
Yes.
See State's Exhibit number 76. What's the address on that last door down there?
That's 103C.
Right. And then the next one is State's Exhibit 77. What are we looking at here?
That's a shed for the tenants to store. There's a small garden off to the left there.
Okay, I think that's actually in our next picture, State's Exhibit number 78. All right, so are these improvements that your father and your management company made to the property for the tenants?
Yes.
And State's Exhibit number 79, please. Is this parking area provided for the tenants?
Yes.
All right, and as we're looking out onto the street there, can you tell me which street that is?
That is Virginia.
That would be Virginia Ave?
Yes.
All right, let's go to State's Exhibit number 80, which is again a picture of the front door of the shared exterior door, correct?
Yes.
All right, and taking a closer look in, We are now on State's Exhibit number 81. I'm going to ask you to take a look at this picture and tell me if you need to look at the actual paper when you see it better. But do you see any damage to this door when you were referring to like damage to the flashing and whatnot?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay, where is it located?
Well, there's one next to the deadbolt. You can see those dents in
Okay.
the metal flash.
And at the time the apartment was renovated, was all that brand new?
Yes.
Let's see, State's Exhibit number 82. This is kind of a closer up photograph of that, the latch for the doorknob. Do you recognize that? Okay, can you describe for the record, and the jury can see it for themselves, but can you describe for the record the damage that you see there?
Well, there's some, it looks like there's some damage from crime of some sort. Some shipping down there.
Okay, and again, was that all brand new when the defendant moved into the building?
Yes.
Okay, and we're looking at that, I'm not sure what the name for that is actually, you know. What is this? It's the part that latches. Do you know what that's called by any chance?
I do.
Okay, I can't get anybody to give me a name for that. But does the door appear to be latching in that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, State's Exhibit 83. Now, we're looking at the same doorway with the door open, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and again, is this how the door appeared at the time the defendant moved into the building? So I'm going to ask you to look. When you say flashing, is this what you're referring to? Or what is this called?
That looks like weather strip.
Weather stripping, okay.
Flashing is the part.
And the weather stripping appears to have some pick marks on it as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now this picture takes us upstairs to the interior door, I believe, and this is State's Exhibit number 84. This is the door to defendant's apartment, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and State's Exhibit number 85. Does this appear to be the new doorknob and the new deadbolt that was installed before the defendant moved in? Okay, does it... I'm going to State's Exhibit 86. This is the same thing, but from a different angle. Still, do you recognize that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah. State's Exhibit number 87. Let me ask you to take a look at that. Is that, do you see some damage down there to where the latch for the doorknob would go?
Yes, I do.
All right, and did it look like that when you rented the apartment to the defendant?
No.
Okay, I believe you testified previously that the doors were all painted and they received new knobs and deadbolts, correct?
That's correct.
At the time that the doors were painted, were the door frames painted as well?
Yes, they were.
State's Exhibit number 88. The question I wanted to ask you about this photograph, State's Exhibit 88, which again is with the defendant's front door popped open. Do you see this down here?
Yes.
I'm pointing to. What is the purpose of that device? It looks like a foot that sticks out from the door.
It's to keep the door propped open.
Okay. And if that device isn't down, what would happen to the door?
It would close.
Okay, next photograph. Is this what essentially what the interior of the apartment looked like that day when you were there with Detective Quinn?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why those evidence markers are there? Do you remember seeing anything in those spots?
I believe that's what the couch was.
Okay. Were there imprints left on the carpet?
Yes.
The next picture, please. We're going to go back to the door, I believe. I just wanted to use that to establish the date. So what we're looking at now is State's Exhibit number 90. And this is a side view of the upstairs interior door, correct?
Yes.
Do you see the latch there?
Yes.
Is that how it appeared, to your knowledge, when it was installed before the defendant took the apartment?
I did not notice that damage when the defendant.
Okay. And can we take a look at State's Exhibit number 91? And this is, that's another shot of the doorknob latch, I believe, correct?
Yes.
All right, State's Exhibit number 92, please. This is with the door closed, and can you see the latch? Do you see a gap there between the door frame and the door?
Yes, I do.
And that's State's Exhibit number 90. So I'm going to ask for State's Exhibit number 93 to be brought up. It's just a close-in of this shot. I'm going to hand this to you, too, so you can see. Do you see a gap between, I would call this a plate, between the plate and where the latch goes in,
Yes,
and the latch is not engaging in the plate, is that correct?
that's correct.
Was the apartment in that condition at the time you rented it to the defendant?
It was not.
And did anyone ever call you to complain and say, hey, my door's not latching? I'm sorry, Judge, for just a minute. Red light, please. I don't have anything else, Mr. Fuller, so thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Flosa. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
My name is Richard Fishino. I represent DJ. If I ask you anything you don't understand, or if you don't hear me, tell me. I'll try to ask you a different way, okay, sir? Sir, had DJ called and said, hey, door isn't latching, you would have charged him for the damage, right?
He caused it? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you believe that he caused it, right? Because you're saying it wasn't there when you leased it to him, and it's there now, right? Okay. So, over the course of April through October, November, December, whenever it was that the lease ended, was DJ often late with his rent?
About a few days.
Okay. His parents paid for him on?
Yes.
So it makes sense to you that he wouldn't necessarily, if he caused damage to the door for getting his keys, call you and say, hey, you need to fix this, and then charge me, right? Okay. Sir, if I understood you correctly, could we look at Stacy to 90 again, please? You said that you didn't recognize that damage, right?
That's correct.
But when you say that, it's fair to say that the door was the original door, right? You don't actually know when that was caused.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, you take that down and put the lights back on. That lease inspection checklist, did you, I think it was Stacy did it 69, were you there when DJ went over?
When did you sign it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And did you notice him go around the apartment with the list looking at everything, or did he just put his initial sign and
At the time he signed it,
Yes.
no, we did not go.
He just,
We did a walkthrough prior to the sign.
and it was a relatively newly renovated place, so everything looked like it was in good condition, right? Just like in that.
That's correct.
Okay. So the radiators in that apartment, are those the source of heat?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have those painted as part of the renovation?
Yes.
The old radiators, the radiators before you had them painted, were they originally painted, do you know, or were they just bare metal?
I don't know.
You didn't do the actual work yourself in this apartment, fair to say?
Yes.
You had, that's correct?
I did not.
You had a lot of it done, in fact, by, is it John Meades?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
That's correct. Needs.
Meades.
What did he do?
What, the fire chief.
That's correct. Some of it was subject.
Sure. So he did what he could, and then he had other construction workers and contractors. And
Yes.
do you know about how many different men you had coming in and working on the apartments?
No,
It wasn't something you micromanaged, right?
I did not.
And these men had keys to get in and out and do the work?
Well, John supervised, so there weren't a lot of copies.
Okay. You don't know whether he made any copies, though, right?
That's correct.
And Christopher Bradley, the tenant across the hall from DJ, you don't know whether he had any copies made of the keys?
DJ's keys?
Yeah. No, of the main door key.
Oh, no, I didn't.
When Christopher Bradley moved in, did he do the same inspection checklist as DJ?
Yes.
And did he sign that everything was satisfactory?
Yes.
Do you remember him contacting you then or shortly thereafter to say that there was an issue with the spring tensioner on that exterior door?
I don't know.
But it's possible.
Possibly.
Would he have contacted you directly, or would he have contacted John Meeks?
He, well, he should have contacted me there. But, you know, John was around, so he may have said something to John.
And that's the kind of thing John would handle, right?
Typically.
You said that when you took this place over, your father took it over, it was in disrepair?
Yes.
Stains and holes in the walls, things like that?
Yeah.
Paint chipping and loose wires?
I didn't do a thorough inspection myself.
But you said disrepair, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you did all that work, yeah?
Fair.
Okay. Sir, the exterior door key that goes up to what I'll call DJ and Mr. Bradley's apartments, was that the same key that they could get into their apartment with?
I'm sorry.
Was it the same key for the exterior door
No.
as the interior door? So you had to have at least 2 keys.
Yes.
And the exterior deadbolt and knob lock, was that the same key the way it was for the apartment?
Yes.
Okay. Did you actually go out and buy the locks and knobs yourself to make sure that you matched all the numbers, or did John handle that, or did some other subcontractor?
I did not handle that person.
Do you know who did?
No.
And do you know whether the exterior key worked on all of the exterior doors or just that one?
Just that.
Now, are you saying that because you had separate keys for each of them, or because you tried the exterior Christopher Bradley DJ door key on another exterior door?
I have a set of keys for the building, so none of the keys match.
Well, I understand that. My question is do you know that because you tried each of those keys in each of the doors, or because you bought all of them separately?
They were all purchased separately.
Right, but they were probably all purchased at the same time, right?
Probably.
And you know when you go into Home Depot or Lowe's, like you can match intentionally if you want to have the same keys the way the deadbolt and the knob bolt match, right?
I don't know that I've ever bought one.
Okay. But it is fair to say that you didn't actually check intentionally whether or not one exterior door worked in all the exterior doors. You're just assuming since you had separate keys and they were purchased separately that they are separate keys, right? Sir, when did the construction actually finish at that building?
This was around, I want to say, right before, towards the end of April. The last tenants moved in.
Okay, so when DJ initially moved in, there was still some work going on in some parts of the building, right?
Yes.
I have no other questions for you, Mr. Zoll.
Your direct counsel.
Just briefly, Judge, I just have a Mr. Flosa, as part of renting a property to a tenant, do you require them to fill out an application to rent the place?
Yes.
Judge, can I approach the witness with State's Exhibit number 159? Maybe that document and ask you if you recognize it. Is that an application to rent an apartment?
Yes.
And whose application is it?
DJ.
Okay. And is one of the questions that you ask a prospective tenant is to list their employer, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell me who the defendant listed as his employer in that application?
Creato window roofing and doors.
Creato Window Roofing and Doors.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Just an additional question.
No, thank you, sir.
One,
159.
just for clarification, sir, you indicated you reside in Westmont and you're a member of the Westmont Volunteer Fire Department. Westmont is a part of Haddon Township, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the location where this particular property has been testified about, what area of Haddon Township would you identify this property to be part of? Is it in Westmont?
What, it's in Westmont.
That's the Westmont section?
Yes.
Just for clarification. Does that suggest any additional questions?
No, Judge.
None for me.
Can you step down? Thank you very much. Mr. Counsel,